Good evening. Welcome to the Georgia Doty Report on Comprehensive Health. I am here. My name is Beverly Walker, and I am here tonight with the one and only Don Doty, who is the Chief Executive Officer for the Georgia Doty Comprehensive Outreach Program. And he is our only guest tonight.
Yeah, I see that for a change.
Well, that's a good thing. I have a list of questions here I want to ask you, Don, but it's going to take me a minute to find them. But I'll just start with the name.
Okay.
The name of the program is Georgia Doty Community Outreach. And a lot of people often wonder who is Georgia Doty and where that name come from. And I know there's been some mix-up time after time about Georgia Doty. Can you tell us who Georgia Doty is?
Well, Georgia Doty is my mother. She set up the first allied health trade school in the United States, minority-owned. And she's the one, and that's the purpose of why I came to Chicago, because of the school that she established.
Okay. Where was that school at?
Los Angeles. Yeah, called Technical Health Career School.
So you was the good son, and you wanted to continue her dream.
Continue her dream because there was a need for the underserved population. At the time when we had the school, we took off about 1,000 women, basically women, off of welfare. And we broke that cycle of welfare dependency by giving them a trade other than being a nurse or wiping somebody's car or whatever. We provided them an opportunity to go into the allied health field, a little step up from just being a CNA.
Well, yeah, I know it's been a good thing here. I've been over to the school that was located here in Chicago on Western and Washington, and they have quite a bit of young people over there at the school. So, yeah, it's a good thing. So now, in addition to Georgia Doty Community Outreach, tell me about your mission and your vision that you actually brought to Chicago. What do you do?
Well, there was a need in Chicago to duplicate the school. It was called Center for Employment Training on Holman and Arthington for about 20-something years. There was a need there because the unemployment rate here in Chicago, the gang rate, a lot of the homeless population here in Chicago was very extremely high. And I felt that there was a great need, an opportunity to provide them same services in Los Angeles to the Chicago residents. And over the years, we took over 3,000 Chicago residents off of welfare on the school. We did about 2,000 young men coming out of prison and women coming out of prison, and provided them training and education, and educated them on their health, but also provided employment opportunities. Matter of fact, you went into prisons with me.
So now, yeah, I was going to say, you talk about the young men that were coming out of prison. They were actually going into work release, and you had a program there where we did, I guess I should say I did the education for HIV, hepatitis. We did some substance abuse education as well, and we had some spiritual motivation that was done by Father Clemens. And I found it to be a very good program. When I actually had my program running, I actually hired some of those young people to work for me. And so giving them that information, allowing them to learn something, gave them the opportunity to go out in the field and be able to find employment.
Yes.
And so they was able to work for me, and within the 12 years that I actually did community outreach myself, I was able to employ some of them, and that it worked out very well.
People are so misunderstood because there's so much talent that's incarcerated. These are some geniuses, some smart individuals that made mistakes because of how they were brought up, in the environment in which they brought up. They had to survive, and without an education, without a skill, they did what they had to do to survive, to put food on their plate, take care of their family, take care of themselves. And I think now we have an opportunity to show them an opportunity to get into areas that can transfer those street skills to a good, positive work working skill. And I feel that we've accomplished a lot here in Chicago, and I think that the program had done extremely well in terms of employment for those individuals coming out of prison.
Right. So let me take a break here. I am not the original host for the show. Our original host, Ms. Yolanda Givens, is out ill. I am just taking her place. I am the person that's normally answering the phones. But we do want to wish Yolanda a speedy recovery, and I really be glad when she come back.
Okay.
But I also want to say to the individuals that are watching the show that you are welcome to call in and ask questions as we go along. The number that you can call in is on the screen there, 312-738-1060. So don't hesitate, call in and ask questions as I get more information out of Mr. Doty.
Okay.
So, Mr. Doty, tell me where you primarily do your work in the community.
We travel all over the Chicago area. Well, in fact, we cover the state of Illinois with different partners and collaborations here in the city with many different agencies. We serve the CHA within seniors within CHA. We deal with the LGBTQ population, and we deal with now focusing on the homeless veterans.
Okay. And so when you go out in the community and work with them, what type of services do you provide?
Well, we put on health forums, seminars, community outreach projects to bring the community together. We provide employers. We have vendors provide their services that can be used for the clients that are being invited to the events. We provide employment opportunity, and we do health education. And we have professionals in those areas to speak on those subjects for us.
Okay, so a person can actually come to one of your events, and they may possibly find opportunities for employment, screenings for
health.
They can be screening for various health. I know HIV and hepatitis is one of the screenings that they get. They also do the blood pressure checks and glucose screening. In addition to that, I think, have you ever had the kidney mobile or?
No, not yet.
Okay, that's something we have to check into for you as well. And in addition to that, you provide education. So a person can actually come and be educated on a number of different health subjects at time being. Tell me some of the people you've had to come out and speak.
Oh, you name it. Dr. Terry Mason is one of the main speakers for our areas. Like, for
Excellent
instance,
speaker.
We have a program on obesity nutrition, and he's going to speak on that. We're going to have it at Kennedy King Community College. We have a program for our Veterans Forum. We have top veterans throughout the state that are going to come in and speak on veterans and some of the services and some of the benefits a lot of veterans are not aware of.
Okay. And
we're going to bring in some of the homeless veterans from the community on the streets under the bridges and bring them to the events also, and reconnect them back into the system. We have one on domestic violence, and we have Stephanie Patterson that's going to come in and coordinate that, and we have it at the Kroc Center every year, and we're going to do domestic violence and reduction of violence in the city of Chicago.
Okay, excuse me, I see we have a caller. Caller, do you have a question or comment?
Yes. I would like to know, what is one of the goals that the Georgia Doty Community Outreach would like to reach for 2020?
What are one of the goals that Georgia Doty wants to reach for 2020?
Oh.
Yes.
We plan to reach 10,000 Illinois residents via our TV show and via our national health newsletter that we have that comes out periodically. We have 5 veteran forums or 5 major health projects for 2020, both within CHA, the Kroc Center, and throughout all the major facilities here in Chicago area, and word of mouth.
Okay. We have another caller. Caller, you have a question or comment?
Nobody there?
Caller, are you there? Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. Okay, Ms. Doty, can you tell us about some of your other projects that you have? I think we have the caller back. Caller, you have a comment? Okay, so we're still on the air. We still have time to get that caller back.
Okay.
Can you tell us about some of the other projects that you have? I know last week on the show, we had Dr. Frank Vault, who
yes.
is a chiropractor. And I think the week before that, we had Sisters Working It Out, which they do breast cancer. And I know you've had them at some of the programs that you've done as well.
Right.
Okay. So what other kinds of things that our caller is back now? You have a comment or question, caller?
Yes, I want to know how can someone get involved with the Georgia Doty organization?
How someone gets involved?
We don't have a strict criteria. We look at those that are passionate about making a difference in the community. We try to take that person's skill set and match it to a project or a program that we're doing at the moment. The next meeting is November the 23rd at the Chase Bank located at 35th and King Drive. So we're asking anyone who wants to volunteer, anyone who wants to participate and share their resources with our programs to attend at 5. It starts at 10 o'clock a.m. on the 23rd of November at the Chase Bank.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. You want to go on and talk about some of the programs you were doing?
Well, right now we're focused on the 4 programs, the ones I mentioned to you, the obesity, the Veterans Forum, domestic violence, and prostate and breast cancer. Those are the main areas.
So those are annual programs?
Annual. And we integrate our hepatitis C education and HIV into each one of those programs. Okay. So we always integrate those because there's a subject that we kind of like continually support and advocate for and try to educate, because very few people in the community really know about hepatitis C and how they get exposed to hepatitis C. I got hepatitis C from serving in Vietnam. All the veterans, when we got our air gun before we boarded the plane to go over, we got vaccinated, and they found out later that the gun was contaminated. It was a contaminated gun, so a lot of us guys got hepatitis C from that air gun, and now I'm being compensated for it from the VA, but I'd rather not have had it. Now there's a cure, and I think that cure is something that people should be aware of, and it only takes 6 months for a cure, and it's available.
So, what's the cure?
I don't remember the name of the cure, but the VA provided it to me when I went there for my testing, for treatment.
Okay.
I can't think of the name of the drug.
So now, I do know that previously there was not a vaccine for hepatitis C.
Correct.
Now, there is a vaccine for
Correct.
hepatitis C.
Correct.
So anyone that is diagnosed with hepatitis C can ask their doctor about the vaccine.
About the vaccine.
Right. So they can and see what other additional treatments are available as well.
Correct. Right now, there's a couple products that are available for as a vaccine available right now.
So now I know they're always coming out with different medications. I know Havani was one of the last ones that they came out with, just like they're always coming out with new medications for HIV infection.
Okay.
But, so do you partner with agencies that do the hepatitis screening, or you provide that through your agency?
No, we collaborate and contract with Southside Health Center. And they come out with their van, and they provide the testing for both HIV and hepatitis.
Okay. Okay, so if a person wanted to become involved in doing your work and they wasn't able to come to your meeting, what would they do?
They can call We can provide them information. We can submit them literature.
So they would call the Georgia Doty Foundation a community outreach program?
Yeah, 312-282-1375.
Okay. So, the contact number to reach Georgia Doty, you will be talking with Mr. Doty here. He has just given, and you can make sure that if you have any other questions about any of the shows that have been on the Georgia Doty Comprehensive Health Report, you can always call and get additional information, and he can refer you to those programs as well if they've been on a show, or those individuals if you need to make contact with those people. In addition to that, when they're out in the community, you may also, you can always call to find out where they're going to be and go out in the community and be a part of that if you have some skills or you have time and you want to volunteer, because they always need somebody to either do the registration, things like host, show people how to get to wherever they need to get to.
Distribute our post,
the rooms,
pre and post tests.
And make sure that the information goes from one room to the next in order to make sure that they have all of the data that they need as they have to collect it. So now, Mr. Doty, with your programs that you have for 2020 and the programs that you've done previously, do you see an expansion plan? I mean, what do you come up with new? If you've been doing these same programs year after year after year,
I think we got to call her first.
then what do you do beyond that? Caller, do you have a comment?
Yes, I do. I want to know, will you all be incorporating any type of social events as far as entertainment is concerned that goes along with all of the things that you guys are doing?
People keep calling. Okay, I'm sorry. Can you say that again? Repeat that.
I want to know if you all are going to infuse any type of social events that have entertainment in them for people to come out to your event.
The Georgia Doty program has the annual programs that they do, and they also have fundraisers that they have set up.
I think the one she's speaking of specifically, I think it's in March, we're going to have the Magical World of Steppin' with DJ Sam Chapman, Ramonski Love as our MC. We're honoring Marshall Thomas with the Shy Lights, Gene Chandler, Bobby Hutton, and Ken Bedford. And we're using the funds there to help our homeless veterans and support our homeless veteran initiative.
Right.
And if you go to my website at www.georgiadotyhealth.org, georgiadotyhealth.org, all our activities and events coming up will be listed on our website.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So if a person is interested in working with you throughout the week, can they come to your office?
Yes.
And your office is located on the south side of Chicago?
Well, right now we're at 601 East 32nd Street, and we're moving to a new place that we're collaborating with Agora Housing on East 71st Street. And we haven't been confirmed that yet, so I don't want to give out the address until it's confirmed. But so we'll have a community outreach office.
Okay. Okay, so a person can come to your office, but they can just call you and find out, get that information. But they can volunteer by coming to the office throughout the week. And they can also volunteer for the various programs that you have in the community.
And we look to retain some services, professional services that fit some of the programs that we are doing also. So we're looking for professionals in various areas of health education and marketing and in grant writing and research.
Okay.
Because now we're about to expand our program, and we're setting up a chapter in Atlanta, LA and in Vegas. And we have committees there, and then we have a director that's running each city for us as of in 2020.
Okay.
So we're about to do the filing now. So we can reach more folks that are really underserved and need the education that's required in terms of health disparity.
Okay, so as you're working with the health disparities and veterans, you work with the seniors, do you work with the average age, I guess, 24 and up to maybe 35, 45?
No, we started about 17, 18 in a way. We went through the high schools also. A lot of the kids were getting body tattoos and body piercing, and they weren't getting it from a professional service or clinic.
Okay.
And they were doing it with each other, just like the guys in prison were doing tattoos with ink pens,
right,
and exposing them to hepatitis B. So we try to educate a lot of the young folks on their health and in terms of being careful about where they go and what they do to their bodies. And so that a lot of time, even when they get to an age where they're looking for employment, tattoos on the neck and the face, it's going to hinder them in terms of employment in certain specific areas.
Yeah, I was on the bus and I'd seen a young person, he had tattoos that looked like regular ink pen to me, but it was all down his arms, on his hands.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really see how they can do that. That would
hurts.
seem like that would hurt.
Yes.
To me, it seems like
They
it
have
would
a high
hurt.
pain threshold. Yes.
Yeah, it's got to be much higher than mine. So we are approaching the bewitching hour. I do want to say again, I want to thank the callers that have called in. And Mr. Doty, I do want to ask you, what are your visions for 2020 in addition to the expansion? What's your vision in terms of how you are working with the people in the community?
I think we built a strong reputation. We received about 4 state proclamations just in Illinois itself. We just got a city resolution from the mayor of Los Angeles, and we received one from the governor of Minnesota. So we've been able to identify and create a good branding for the organization to know that we have those services, we have those professional people involved with us. We're trying to make a difference. Our mission is to create awareness on health disparity and try to provide services to the underserved population who don't know about their own health. Matter of fact, the hospitals would like us to educate the community on their health in that they don't run to the emergency room for minor illnesses that could be corrected if they had known better. So I think learning how to eat properly and to provide a holistic health regimen about themselves will make a big difference.
Yeah, I think having people come on to this show, because I know in addition to the breast cancer and the chiropractor and the hepatitis, and we've had shows where I remember we had a young man come on, he talked about the different nutrients and
Robert Beck.
the food that you needed to have, the different vitamins
Yes.
and all that you needed to have in your body on a daily basis. And it just seems impossible to me to get, when you say minerals, I'm like, how do you get those minerals if you're not eating greens?
Yeah.
But he did call out some of the foods and so forth, and you have to make sure that you're flushing your body
With water.
the food with water.
Correct.
Yeah, I
But
didn't know
don't
that
drink water while you're eating, he
Eating,
said.
right.
Drink after you finish
after
eating.
you finish
Right.
eating.
Right.
But I didn't know there were so many different types of water. And so I went to the store one day and just kind of scanned the water aisle.
Yeah,
I mean, there's so
yeah.
many different types. But I think you've done quite a bit of educating the public, the community, through this show. The 25 minutes that you spent on the show. I want to thank you for coming on the show. It's really, really hard to get Mr. Doty on the show.
I don't like to talk. in front of
He
folks.
says he's camera shy. I don't think he's any more camera shy than I am. But I'm glad that we've been able to get him to at least one show per season. And I think it's important because nobody knows the vision for the project but him. He
And it's
has
so
the
funny
vision.
too, because many people thought when we were in the prisons, they thought you were Georgia Doty.
Yeah, no.
They thought that you were my mother.
Right. So we are down to our last few minutes. And I do want to say, I see, and it's an opportunity for those people to come on the show and talk a few minutes. I remember when I had cable and I used to watch this channel all the time. And I remember when I was doing HIV education on the show all the time. And it's a very interesting show. I do commend you for it. I commend Yolanda Gibbons for having the nerve to come and sit up here every week. It's easy for me to sit back there and answer the phone and hit that button that says caller. It's like playing tic-tac-toe sometimes.
Yeah, I really miss Yolanda. We're praying for her now. We hope she's getting better. The problem she had wasn't life-threatening, but it could have been if she hadn't taken care of it in time.
It could have been.
It's so important for people to realize that you put all the money in fixing your cars and your houses and everything else physically, materialistically, but you got to think about your health, what goes in your health.
The other thing is that things happen so fast.
Yes.
And, we never know from day to day what's going to happen. And so it's good to watch these shows and maybe at some point. Because I remember when we talked to one of the doctors before, I remember they talking about cancer as being inflammation in the body, so much inflammation in the body until it ends up being cancer. And, the foods that we were eating, we thought we were eating the right foods, but then they say, well, whoever said those are the foods that you should be eating.
I'd like to also make a mention. I would like for every man, specifically black men, over the age of 40 years old to get tested for prostate cancer. It's something you take for granted. I didn't know it. I found out that I had it. I was shocked. I'm dealing with it now. It's not to the stage where I have to make a vital decision, but I didn't know the statistics and the data of how many minority men are being affected, as women are with breast cancer, as men are with prostate cancer.
And even at a young age.
At a young age. So you need to really be checked and examined. Your health is important.
At a young age. I was around the person earlier during the week, and they were talking about their husband had been diagnosed with prostate cancer. I mean, and it just broke the family up.
Yeah.
So, and then one of the things that I want to point out that one of the young ladies said when they was on the show for breast cancer is that because she was diagnosed at age 30-something, that her daughter needed to be screened 10 years beforehand.
It could be hereditary.
Yeah, because of that, yes. So now they're actually giving us a signal that we have 1 minute. Again, I want to thank Mr. Doty for coming out. I want to thank his wife, Joyce Doty, for answering the phones in my place. And I also want to, again, wish Yolanda Gibbons a very speedy recovery. I did talk to her. She is doing okay. She said she was following doctor's orders. And I want to thank you all in the community for watching the show. Thank you and good night.